The board has not always seen fit to take my recommendations. You know, I think that sometimes we probably would have been better off if they had of, but you know, we worked with them. So that's about all I have. If you all have any questions or anything.
We'll go to questions then for either the superintendent or Dr. Seal. Mrs. Manchin.
I guess maybe this is as much a comment as it is a question, but the time that you spent picking away at the OEPA report, really on minute things. I mean, do we have one custodian or two? When at the end of the day, the question is, the county has not followed, when you say not quite the letter of the law, I mean, has not turned in a CEFP report. Children are going to schools in unsafe conditions. And so to me, rather than saying, well, this report wasn't perfect because it was 1 and not 2, no, the county has not followed the letter of the law. The board has not been responsible. I mean, I'm not saying it's blame on any one person, but it certainly has not put the interest of the children in Gilmer County first. When you look at the condition of those schools and the fact that in order to get SBA money, you have to file an CEFP. We can get our acronyms correct. To me, that's where time and effort should be being spent, on what you can do to make the conditions better in Gilmer County. And following the letter of the law rather than saying, well, we almost followed the letter of the law, and looking for ways to make excuses for not following the rules. To me, this is a disservice to the families and to the children of Gilmer County. And it angers me that we wouldn't stand up and say, we have made mistakes, and we haven't done what's right, and we appreciate and will take any help we can get to try to make things better in our county. I think that would have been a far better speech to have made than one that said, well, everything you had in your report wasn't exactly accurate. To me, the most accurate thing in that report is you have not done what needed to be done in order to get money to improve the condition of the schools in your county for your children.
Are there questions?
May I respond to that?
If you would like.
I thought I did say I thank the OEPA for coming in and offering suggestions. I was just trying to point out some accuracy. As far as the schools, when I came in as superintendent, I realized we needed schools. That was the only reason I even took the job as superintendent. I worked for about 1.5 years trying to get a bond passed, getting things set up, getting the bond to pass, and it failed in November. I would have to say that I will take blame as well for us not getting started back as quickly as we should have with the CFP, but our architect had advised us to hold off on the CFP until after the bond passed or failed. So I think we have made efforts. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a bond to pass. I see that probably with new leadership, and if Dr. Simmons is permitted to step in, maybe he can have more success in trying. I don't think there's anybody in Gilmer County that would tell you we don't need new schools. It's trying to figure out what plan or that the voters of Gilmer County will support.
Well, but until you do your report, you can't get any money. I mean, that at the end of the day, 54 other counties found a way to submit a report.
Yeah.
And Gilmer County couldn't find a way to submit a report.
And we are progressing on that, and hopefully in the next week or so we will have a report.
I don't think we need to continue the dialogue. However, I think every member of the board has the right to express their opinion. However, if you have questions, that's what I'm really looking for now. Dr. Johnson.
Looking at the report and the concerns that have been expressed by Mrs. Manchin, which I agree with, I would like to know, since the report has come out and you had the conference, what have you done in terms of dealing with the issues that were brought out in the report? I mean, in terms of personnel, in terms of curriculum instruction, in terms of maintenance, in terms of putting together the CEFP, in terms of correcting the conditions that are listed in as being violations of state code.
Okay. I believe we got this report last Friday. Since then, we have worked on changing some of our postings and all. In fact, we've been working some on postings where on the, I think it was the Tuesday after Memorial Day, we were given a verbal of what to look for in what would be coming out in the report. We had set in place as far as the facility, since, I mean, that seems to be a main thing, that we had a public forum set up. We now have a public hearing scheduled. We are trying to, if we post something now, the matrix, I think a lot of the problem with our matrix was, it wasn't that we didn't always use it, was that we just didn't keep files of the matrix. So now when we accept a recommendation from a principal or the committee, we will expect that matrix to be included with it and the documentation that needs to go along with it. And recently, well, just this past board meeting when we employed our federal programs director, we took the matrix out, used it, and it's, I mean, the matrix went with the file. I mean, we are trying to make sure that that paper trail is followed.
I have a process question. If the board accepts Dr. Seal's report and the board has chosen another superintendent, I would like to ask the process question of what happens to that superintendent, because I know in a takeover county that we choose, or Dr. Marple chooses the superintendent.
I think it is maybe an instance of first impression for this board that we have a situation where there's a sitting superintendent and then a newly issued contract. I think that the motion would need to address both superintendents, both contracts. However, West Virginia State Code does contain a provision that every county superintendent's contract has a clause that says that it can be voided by the state board upon intervention. So that is within your authority to do so. I would just recommend that the motions, maybe Dr. Marple could include that, mention both contracts. And if you want me to write this together.
Okay, I understand that. After the board votes, then it is up to the superintendent. If the board chooses to follow Dr. Seal's recommendation, she has recommendations to the board as to process and how things should proceed. So glad we got that question answered. Are there any other questions? Any other comments that someone would like to make?